So welcome. Tonight I am Joanna Hodorowska. I'm your host, and I am doing the Pain-Free Naturally webinar. So we're going to be talking a little bit about inflammation, where that inflammation comes from, how your food actually contributes to your inflammation. And I am coining a new term called artificial inflammation. And then how stress can also contribute to that, to the pain. So through my own little story and my experience, I have recognized that the body can heal given the right tools. Nutrition is one of those tools. And the anti-inflammatory diet is something that I actually discovered during my, when I had my degenerating hip and arthritis in my left hip. Now I've got arthritis in the right hip. And the first one, I totally discovered the anti-inflammatory diet and perfected that and work with it with my clients so that we can eliminate the pain quickly. And then the second one, I had a hip replacement on the first one. And when the second one, I got diagnosed with the arthritis, I was like, you know what? The body can heal. I'm not capping out with a hip replacement. I'm going to fix this thing because the body can heal. I just haven't discovered all the missing pieces to reversing arthritis. So I am actually reversing arthritis, and I am one of the few people that you know that is actually adding activities back instead of eliminating them. So my wish is for you to get some of those insights, and hopefully maybe we can even work together so that you can be in that same place and age yourself younger and get your body to actually ignite its ability to heal naturally. Make sense? So I'm going to add a little, I have a presentation, so I'm going to do the share screen. So what I want to know from you is, who are you? And you can put this all in the chat, or you can, go ahead and unmute yourself since there's only a few of us. Where are you from? And basically what hurts? Because I'm assuming that you're here to learn about how to release pain. So I want to know where you are experiencing pain. So if you can drop it in the chat or tell me about it.
All right, well, I'm on my phone, so it's easier to not type.
Okay.
I'm Casey, and I'm from Colorado, and I have been experiencing pain that's been increasing for the last couple of years, mostly joint and tendon pain. I wake up and ankles, knees, hips, shoulders, elbows, fingers. I have Dupuytren's contractures, so kind of funky fingers. Lots of I wind up with trigger finger, and then they straighten it, and it doesn't really get straight. And I'm about ready to have another surgery on my left hand for the same thing, to clean out the scar tissue from that. And just generally throughout the day, I would say I'm probably mostly at a 4 to 5 out of 10. But like today, I gardened, moved a couple yards of compost, and I'm pretty sure that by the time I get to bed tonight, it'll be 7 or 8 out of 10. Not debilitating, but uncomfortable.
Right. Yeah. I mean, obviously, you can still do what you want to do, but you pay the price for it later.
I do. Yeah, true. And have really shied away from, partially because of COVID, but have shied away from gym activities. And, I was 5 years ago, I was a triathlete and able to compete, and I haven't been on a bike or a pool or lifted or run, mostly because of what happens afterwards, just that. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And I continue doing the swimming and biking, but I just can't run right now with my hip.
Right.
But my goal is to get back to that and get back to tennis.
Right. Is it my turn now?
Yes, please.
Well, I've got widespread osteoarthritis. I've had a right shoulder decompression, I've got problems all down my thoracic and lumbar spine, mostly from 2 road traffic accidents.
Okay.
And I've got sacroiliac pain from a road traffic accident. It just seems to be me in stationary cars that people drive into. And basically, I'm on cocodamol and diclofenac every day, which is it's a non-steroidal and an opioid.
Okay. So you're actually on steroids, did you say, or non-steroidal?
No, it's a non-steroidal.
Okay.
And basically, I'm on minimum doses of each because most of my pain is intermittent.
Okay. And
It
then when you
means-
do have the pain, is it on a scale from 1 to 10, how bad is it?
It can be up to about 10.
Okay.
I've got some capsaicin ointment, which is the stuff that's in chili peppers.
Right.
And that sort of works because there's no point taking long-acting drugs for stuff that only happens over a matter of minutes. I mean, I can
Right.
stand for about 10 minutes, and then I need to sit down. But once I've sat down for a minute or two, I'm fine. I can go on again.
Okay, well, that's good. So now we'd like to be able to get you into a place where you don't have the pain at all. So
That'd
then
be
you don't have
good.
to take anything, and then you don't have to sit down because nothing will be hurting.
Yeah.
So I already gave you a little bit of who I am, but this is my my original hip replacement, and then this is the X-ray that I had taken in December of this past year. And so today is May 27th. So when I saw it at first, I was pretty depressed. I was like, really? I did all this whole anti-inflammatory thing, and I'm still like getting arthritis. This is ridiculous. But that's where I learned that there's more things going on than just the anti-inflammatory diet. But I also noticed that this femur is rotated, and so is that hip. So that's where I started adding more things in to straighten that out so that I could get more of the function. Because if this is going to be misaligned, then how is it going to heal? It's always going to rub. And if it's rubbing, is it really going to be able to heal? So through that first journey with adrenal exhaustion and that degenerative hip, that's where I discovered that the body can heal given the right tools. And nutrition was the foundation. And if you don't eat the right foods, your body pays the price for it. And when you're younger, you've got a lot more wiggle room in that regards. But as we get older, we just have to be a little bit more specific in terms of what we're eating or not eating. I also discovered that through that first hip replacement, that food can make my pain worse. And when I actually amplified the anti-inflammatory diet, the 2 weeks before surgery, you can't take any supplements, you can't take any medication. And I was able to get rid of my pain completely. So even though I had a completely dysfunctional hip and it was bone on bone beyond that, and I was walking with a cane, I went into surgery with 0 pain. And I mean 0, none. So if I can do it, I've helped actually a lot of my clients do the same thing. And it's really about helping them to really understand where the pain is coming from and which foods are affecting them. So I have determined that there are these natural pain-free steps. And first you've got to, stop the chronic inflammatory process so that the body can start doing what it does naturally, which is heal and repair. You have to do some movement because you've got to challenge the joints in a way, but the less activity you do, the more the joints hurt. And then you really want to focus on recovery and listening to what the body needs, as opposed to using movement as a means to escape your stress. And I kind of put these little lines in here to say, like, this is kind of like the first step of the process. The second part is then we're going to start to rebalance the microbiome, because the microbiome actually is where some of that inflammatory process is originating from. So if we can stop the inflammatory process in the microbiome, then we can also reverse the degradation of the body. And then you still have to work on rebalancing and rebuilding the movement pattern so that the body is actually working in its proper movement patterns. And then that's where you actually allow the body to heal. The body starts to heal, and then you can start adding the activities slowly but intently. And you, throughout the whole process, you kind of have to be patient with yourself and be kind to your body in the process. But what I have found is that if you want to be pain-free, I can get you pain-free in less than 2 months. It's not just a promise, it's almost a guarantee. So in terms of what is inflammation, and do you have any questions so far? Okay. So inflammation is actually a natural body process. It is a local response to either some kind of an injury, and it is the body's natural response to help protect itself from harm, from infections, injuries, or toxins in an attempt to heal itself. So inflammation on its own is actually one of the body's natural ways of healing. The challenge is when it becomes a chronic thing. So like when you stub your toe, it gets inflamed, it gets usually swells. That's the body's inflammatory response. It can get really hot and red. And so in a few days, that inflammation settles down, the body starts to repair, and everything goes back to normal. That's the natural inflammatory process. The problem is when it becomes chronic inflammation. And the inflammation, can come from all these things. So I know that, Maria, you said you've got some injury and trauma from the car accidents.
Yeah.
There's some other things that you might not even know that are contributing to it, which would be like the leaky gut, the microbiome imbalance, some of the foods that you're eating. And sometimes it's overexertion or underexertion. And a lot of times it's stress and lack of sleep that are contributing to that inflammatory process staying chronic. So the natural inflammatory process is, like I said, something happens and then the body responds, and then the whole body resolves and the body comes back into homeostasis. I'm not going to go through it into all the little details of it, but that just gives you an idea of it's supposed to happen, and then the inflammatory response is supposed to end. With chronic inflammation, it goes for, instead of this scenario, the first one on the left, you get the inflammatory response, and then it just stays in that inflamed, unresolved inflammatory position. So my job is to help you get out of this right place and go back to the natural place of the inflammation resolving. So then the other question that I have, you already talked about having pain in the joints. Do you have by chance any of these other symptoms? The swelling, the GI distress, food sensitivities or allergies, maybe some skin issues?
Oh, I've got loads of allergies and I'm asthmatic. Okay.
So that may, so these are all affected by inflammation. And if you have slow healing wounds, that's also an indication. So here's the part where I really want to focus on is food can be your medicine or it can be your painful poison. But most of us don't know that food can be a trigger. And the food that we eat can cause what I call artificial inflammation. So it's actually creating inflammation because a lot of the food that we eat now is highly processed, and the body does best on real food. So if you're eating more of the inflammatory foods and more of these processed food, the things that are easily available, they typically have a lot of calories, but they don't necessarily have a lot of nutrients. So what I want to kind of get across to you today is that some of these specific foods are causing more inflammation than others. And it really becomes a process of identifying which foods do you need to eliminate first to get the biggest effect. And the one thing that I do that most others don't is, let's say wheat is an issue for you. So we're going to eliminate wheat. When I was told to eliminate wheat 27 years ago, my nutritionist just said, here, you can't eat wheat. Okay, then what do I eat? And I literally like lost 20 pounds in 2 weeks, not because I got rid of the wheat, but I mean, part of it was because I got rid of the wheat and the inflammatory response that was going along with the wheat. But I really had no idea what to eat. And I made a vow to myself and for my clients when I started my business that when there is something that is a food item that is causing your pain, I want to make sure that we have suitable alternatives for you to consume so that the process becomes easy for you. So, and once you make the connection between the food that you're eating and the pain that you have, you will automatically choose differently. You'll automatically choose to only eat that particular food if it's absolutely like the best food on the planet, and you're willing to suffer the consequences because that food was that good. But you won't waste your time on something that you don't even enjoy because it has an ingredient that is causing you pain. Make sense? And because we work together, then you've already done the replacement foods and you know which foods are safe. So then you can just continue with that, and life becomes pretty spectacular because you have a greater selection of food to choose from rather than just a restriction of foods. And when we're talking about helping the body to naturally heal and repair, the key part is that we want to utilize all the body's resources to repair. If we're eating these inflammatory foods that are causing the artificial inflammation, then we're utilizing some of that energy from the body to counteract the food inflammation rather than do the natural repair process. So that's where, you know, no matter what it is that you do, you have to look at the foods that you're eating to be able to replace the inflammatory foods and really help the body's innate healing and repairing abilities to amplify. Make sense? So these are what I have found to be the most inflammatory foods: sugar, wheat, hydrogenated fats, artificial sugars and sweeteners, and any kind of artificial colors and flavors. And I really should add on there the genetically modified foods. The body views these all as foreign invaders. So that is going to impede the healing. I had you fill out some days of food logs, and I don't know if you did do them or didn't do them. But if you look at your sheet of the food logs, you can just look at one sheet or two. I want you to circle the items that have sugar in it. And I'm not talking about just carbohydrates, meaning, you know, fruit and things like that, but actual sugar and added sugar, white sugar, organic sugar, those kinds of things. So you're going to circle all the items that have sugar in it. Then when you go through the 2 days again, I want you to put a square or a rectangle around the wheat products. And I'm just going to have you stop there because those are the two primary ones that I want to focus on. And one of the things that I want you to actually try is to, if you have more circles of sugar on your page or more squares with wheat on it, I want you to try to minimize or eliminate that one item for the next 2 weeks out of your diet. And I'll show you a way at the end where you can actually work with me so I can help to make that easier. So if you did those food logs, which one came up higher for you? More sugar items or more wheat?
I think I missed the food log somewhere, but I
thought-
suspect it's the sugar.
Okay. And sugar is a very common one. I mean, most people that I work with, sugar and wheat are the two primary ones that we have to work on. And a lot of times it's pretty simple to replace them with just honey and maple syrup. But it just depends on what it is that you're eating.
Yeah. I mean, the only sugar I have is either bars of chocolate or whatever's processed food with sugar in it.
Right. So the challenge is to actually start minimizing that and see if we can find some real food replacements for those sugary bars. And depending on the chocolate, I mean, I eat chocolate every day, and I found that chocolate wasn't really my issue, but I think for me, it wasn't really an issue just because I eat dark chocolate.
Yeah, I do too.
So chocolate may not be an issue, but it's usually, any kind of sugar that's added, and even putting sugar into coffee or tea, that was enough to actually give me an inflammatory response.
Right.
Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just going to kind of go over quickly these 5 anti-inflammatory foods because, this is just like these are the things that I have found to be the most helpful. So there's the cruciferous vegetables, which is the broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, and kale. And just adding more of those into your diet will help to lower the inflammation. The turmeric and ginger roots are 2 anti-inflammatory root vegetables, which are often used in cooking, but you could just brew a tea with both of those, and ideally using the turmeric root, not the turmeric powder. If you can include some of the cold water fish, and luckily Maria and I are both from Polish descent, so we like the cold water fish, and we like the herring and mackerel and those kinds of fish. Yeah. But the herring and mackerel, if you're looking at a 4-ounce serving, the herring and mackerel both have almost 700 milligrams per 4-ounce serving. Sardines have, I think, 480, and salmon has only 270. So it's something where it's definitely helpful if you consume these foods a couple times a week. But the EPA is actually the anti-inflammatory component of the omega-3 fatty acids that are found in these cold water fish. And a therapeutic dose is actually 1,500 to 2,000 milligrams of the EPA. So you would have to eat a lot of herring, mackerel, sardines, and salmon every day in order to get the benefits. And that, for most of us, is completely unrealistic. But consuming them, a couple times a week may be definitely helpful for lowering some of the pain and inflammation. Pineapple is another one where it includes bromelain, which is also an anti-inflammatory, and especially for gut balance and for autoimmune issues and health issues. The bone broth, preferably made from chicken bones, with the type 1 collagen, is really helpful to lower the inflammation and really lower the inflammation in the gut. Make sense?
Yes.
So I'm going to just talk briefly a little bit about the stress and its effect on inflammation. And the stress is typically emotional injuries from childhood. And that's usually the experiences that we had in childhood that we found painful. And these issues get lodged in our tissues. So it's about identifying where these emotions were experienced and really process them in a different way. And if you grew up like I did, there wasn't enough time to have emotional issues come up. But it was really about working through those issues now and allowing the the stress of that to be released so that the body can also not utilize the resources stored up in stress and allow the body to heal more comfortably. And I've listed a few of my clients where one of them had severe liver pain and stomach pain, and it turned out to be resentment that was from their parents' divorce several years earlier. I had another client who had pain in their thumbs, and it was also an issue that they were holding on to, something, a belief system or a way of life that was too rigid for them, but it was part of the family values. So they kept holding on to the rigidity, and that caused the thumbs to hurt. And then we had Joan, who had hip pain and experienced constant criticism in childhood, which yielded the fear of moving forward or standing up for what they know to be true and kind of moving forward with their life that didn't really fit into the family dynamic either. So they were kind of like the black sheep in the family, if you wanted to look at it one way. But the constant criticism to adapt and kind of mold to the family dynamic was what was contributing to the hip pain. Does that make sense? So it's trying to make that connection between some of those emotional issues along with the physical pain, and see if that is contributing to the pain. Any questions?
No.
And obviously sleep disturbances cause more stress on the body too. And that's something where when you have pain, you don't sleep well. Typically you'll wake up in the middle of the night because your body is going to wake up with the pain. And then there's other times where when the weather changes, your bones tell you the weather forecast. And that's something where an anti-inflammatory diet can actually make that go away. Not just, temporarily, but if you stay on the anti-inflammatory diet, then you can never have the weather be told by your joints. And it's a beautiful thing. So then you can actually sleep through the night without any issues. And you wake up refreshed. So anybody have any questions at this point?
I'm good. I'm down to about 5% battery, so I'm probably gonna drop off here shortly, but we'll be in touch.
Yeah, so let me go through this real quick. I've got some clients that, I had one client several years ago who she really was totally dubious that the anti-inflammatory diet would work at all. And within 3 sessions, we had her knee pain gone, and she was back to running without any pain and had complete freedom of movement. I had another runner who was biking when I saw him, and he had never heard of the anti-inflammatory diet either. But I had worked with him, and he was able to run pain-free within a couple of months. Then the same Joelle that I was telling you about, that we got rid of the stiffness in her hands, and she can do yoga, sticking her, elevating herself on her hands, which I think is pretty incredible. But that was something that she could only do because we got rid of the pain. I also helped an older gentleman who we focused on just that anti-inflammatory diet. And he had a hip issue and a limp from some kind of an injury. And his physical therapy was actually much improved, that even the therapist said that, wow, you're improving at a level that I've never seen in somebody your age. And this guy was over 70. So that was really helpful. Plus he was able to improve his golf game. And all we really did was just work on the anti-inflammatory plan so that he could be pain-free. I have a few other, I actually talked to a client a couple of days ago, and as I was just catching up with him, I worked with him over 3 years ago, and he said, you know what? My arthritis went into remission. I had to get off Enbrel before my COVID shots. And then when we came back after the second dose, my doctor said, you don't need to go on the Enbrel. Your arthritis is in remission. And it's all because we did the anti-inflammatory work and helped him to help his body basically recover and repair naturally. So it's pretty cool. And then for me, like the anti-inflammatory diet has been just instrumental. Like I've been pain-free for 7-8 years, even with the other hip, having a little bit of arthritis in it. I'm actually walking better now than I was in December. I'm actually cycling better now than I was in December. I actually started doing hill repeats again, which is kind of unheard of. That, usually with arthritis, you degenerate more, and I'm doing the opposite. So it's really, I'm really a big example of how it works, and how if you do all the layers to the process, you can really ignite the body's ability to heal on a much greater level. Make sense? So as I said before, the first step is we have to just work on the anti-inflammatory diet to lower that inflammatory response and eliminate the pain to allow your body to heal. Later on, you can add all these other things and work through the issues. But the key thing is, doing it naturally requires that we have to get rid of that artificial inflammation. And the easiest way to do it is to work on the food. I offer a program called the Be Whole program, and it helps to unravel the layers of the pain and really help to stop the pain in its tracks so that your body can heal naturally. And we really do one step at a time and work with your schedule, your lifestyle, and personalize it to meet you where you are and what you're able to do and what you're willing to do. But we work on one step at a time so you can really make the connection between the food and the pain. And within 2 months, you will be pain-free. So going through this process, you'll feel 10 to 20 years younger. You'll start to include more activities that you love rather than eliminating them. You'll be able to do more things with your friends neither of you have kids and neither do I, but you'll be able to do a lot more things with your friends and family because your pain is no longer a limiting factor. You'll be sleeping through the night and wake up more refreshed. You'll have less aches and pains from doing the activities that you do, even if you're doing it once in a while. You'll regain your fitness and, you'll start living a more full life, which is usually not something that medication will do for you. So you could be like Ellen and Steve and running and having your freedom back. You can do all the activities, regain your strength, regain your ability, be the Uber athlete you've always wanted to be, and be pain-free in 2 months. So what I encourage you to do is let's schedule a 30-minute call. And usually it's only a 15-minute session, but I'm giving you 30 minutes so that we can review your situation and see if this would actually make sense for you. Then we can optimize the plan based on who you are, what you need, and determine what the steps are in your pain-free journey. And right now, what I'm going to offer for you too is that if you're ready to actually jump into that Be Whole program and get ready for that base program, I'm going to throw in one extra session. But I'm also going to lower the price a bit. So you will get an extra session, and this way we can get you pain-free, plus work on some of the other issues to guarantee that you can maintain that for the rest of your life and amplify the quality of your life, not just have an increased life. So you have 2 options. One is just schedule a time with me and we can talk. Or we can just jump into getting started with the Be Whole program. Make sense?
It does. Thank you.
I figured I would kind of rush through it a little bit more quickly so that you, Casey, could actually still listen to it while you're still here.
Thanks. I'm down to about 1%, so I'm going to turn off shortly. I'll send you an email or yeah, we can figure out how we're going to communicate. And yeah, I'd like to have a session with you and see where we're going to go.
Okay, I will send you the links in an email as well, so that you'll have them, because I know you're running out of juice. And I can also send it to you by messenger on Facebook, because that's how we connected in the first place.
That's right. Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to
So,
go
and
now before.
Thank you for joining me. And if you have any other questions that come up, just respond to the email, and we'll go from there.
Perfect. Great. Nice to meet you, Maria.
Right.
Bye, Casey. All right, so I'm going to stop the share because we don't really need the share anymore, right?
Right.
And do you have any questions, Maria?
Not at the moment. I might try and get some. I mean, my diets have disintegrated during lockdown.
Yeah, I think a lot of people has disintegrated during the lockdown. So this is a good time to kind of reintegrate some things and kind of massage it slowly to get it back into where you want it to be, so that you can kind of regain your power, regain your movement, regain everything. You know what I mean? Because we want you to age younger, not older.
Be nice, wouldn't it?
You know, well, that's I'm actually I think I have actually come across something that, you know, stress makes us age, so we have to do the anti-inflammatory diet so that we can actually reverse the effects of that stress. But we can also work on some of those stressors so that they're no longer a stress, and then you can just go live your life like you want to. I can't guarantee that you're going to get like the energy that you had when you were 3, but you know, we can at least make it back to 10, 15 years ago.
And I probably won't get back the 8 centimeters that I've lost in height. Yeah,
well, that might require some yoga or something like that. To kind of stretch the spine, you know.
I think you're right about the stress. I mean, before I retired, I'd had 30 years of stress and work.
Right.
And by the end of it, I was being seen at 6 different outpatient clinics, which I think was a hospital record.
All for the stress?
Well, I was being seen by a dermatologist. I was depressed, and I developed psoriasis. I developed multiple sclerosis. I was being seen at the asthma clinic.
Right. Yeah, and some of these things, these are all inflammatory responses or conditions too. So yeah, and some of those stressors, it takes a while to get them out of the body and let the body repair. Yeah. So this is definitely something that if we work together, we can definitely make it a drastic improvement in the quality of your life, and actually put all those things into remission so that you can actually, you know, go have fun and play instead of play in the doctor's office. Because that's not really that much fun.
No, not from the wrong end.
No, definitely not. Yeah, I'm trying to keep you from going to the doctor so that you can just do everything at home and allow the body to heal naturally, so that we can just continue enjoying life and actually enjoying life more. So I thank you for joining us, and thank you for staying up late so that we could connect. It's so lovely to see you on video.
She talk almost in real life.
Right, exactly. So I'm just gonna go ahead and stop the video. And if anybody has any questions, you can contact me at www.nutritioninmotion.net. And you can use the link on the website to contact me or to schedule that 15-minute session using the chat box. Have a great evening, and look forward to working with you.